We live in a world full of people who are hurting. Life is unfair, systems are broken, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the negativity that surrounds us. And most of the time, that negativity stems from our own minds. We live in a society where feelings hold a lot of weight, but anxiety, depression, and loneliness can almost consume our entire bodies. If you've ever felt this way, I know exactly how you feel. I wanted to take this time to talk to you about how to be more positive in a world that seems to be celebrating negativity. We're going to talk about some hard things today, and it may bring up some hurt inside of you. But by the end of this video, my biggest hope is that you will feel seen, heard, cared for, and empowered, even if others didn't allow you to see it for yourself. I usually don't read a lot of my YouTube comments because people can be really negative sometimes. But from the comments that I have read, I've seen a lot of people mention how positive I seem to be, how I always seem to be so happy or seem to be productive all the time. I completely love and appreciate these comments, but I also want people to know what it took for me to become who I am today. Overcoming these things does not mean I never feel this way anymore. Overcoming doesn't mean they've disappeared forever or that I found the magic juice that gets rid of them for good. Overcoming means the magnitude of its hold on me has lessened, and I'm continually healing as each day goes by. Our feelings are valid, and sometimes we need to feel big emotions to see big changes. Traumatic experiences are more likely to lead us down the path of anxiety, loneliness, and depression. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, which is a study conducted by Kaiser Permanente as well as the CDC, have found that children who have experienced 4 or more traumatic experiences are more likely to experience health issues, either mentally, physically, or emotionally. These traumas include abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction. The beautiful thing about our brain is that the brain is malleable. It's always changing and growing. Context drives your genes, which means you can choose to place boundaries in your circumstances and say, hey, I won't let this define who I am. Anxiety feels like a weight has been pressed upon your chest as your stomach starts to tighten into knots. My hands get sweaty and I constantly fixate on something I'm worried about. I'll think about it again and again, and I won't be able to talk about anything else until the problem is fixed. Anxiety is actually driven by different emotions. Recognizing and reflecting are some of the things I've incorporated into my life to be able to get to the root of my thoughts. I started moving my body and exercising as a lifestyle, not because I'm defined by a number on a scale, but because I know what my body needs to feel healthy from the inside out. It forces me to push past any limitations I put on myself. With reflection and movement come my truths. My truths are the verses or the quotes I repeat to myself because I know who God says I am. It's this realization that our life will not play out like we want, but the one who writes a better story will be with us in every trial. Faith is a big part of how I can see the world, how I can smile through the hard times because we know suffering exists in this world. It rains on the good and the bad. Depression comes in seasons. It's much more than feeling sad or upset about a situation. Depression is a state of being. Negativity is at its peak, and passion has been completely lost. As John Piper says, "Now, I don't want to be naive here. To be sure, there are many dimensions to depression, from genetic to dietary to exercise to trauma to relational stress to financial burdens to weather conditions and on and on. I always envision wanting to crawl into a dark hole, curl up into a ball, and wallow in my thoughts. I usually would sleep for long hours and wouldn't find the motivation to get anything done. What is needed in these moments is hope. Hope that things will get better. Hope that the dark days are temporary. Finding things that spark joy again. But you won't get there until your mind and your body feel ready. What's important in this season is to not give up. The only way through it is through it. There aren't shortcuts to growth, and you have to put in the work of showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. Loneliness. It's easy to feel lonely when we've been isolated for so long. Months go by in the blink of an eye. What's scary about loneliness is that we can feel it even when we're surrounded by people. We can feel it while also wanting to be alone. What we crave is authentic relationships and friendships that make us feel safe. For me, personally, God is the ultimate relationship I could ever ask for. He reminds me that He chose me. Despite the mistakes that I've made or the mistakes that I will make, He says, "Hey, I love you, and I sent my Son Jesus for you." We have been created with a purpose and for a purpose. I think one of the biggest hindrances in our lives is comparing ourselves to other people. Comparison is acknowledging that you feel like you're not enough or you've forgotten all of the amazing things in your life. The root of a lot of our negative feelings come from thinking about ourselves too much. I know that sounds really critical, but it's true. We worry because we're afraid for ourselves. Our brains go into fight or flight mode to preserve yourself. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So when you begin to think about all the things you don't have, or all the things your friends have, or all the things people on Instagram are doing, try to be happy for other people's happiness. Being happy when other people are happy can create more space for you to be happy often. And if something doesn't serve you and it makes you feel bad and negative, it's okay to set up a healthy boundary and to walk away from it. A big reality check is that life is going to be hard. Sometimes it'll be your own fault. Sometimes it's going to be someone else's fault. We are going to go through hard times. There's no doubt about that. But knowing that you're not alone, and you can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth and for change, is going to be so much more meaningful. Every difficult path, every heart-wrenching event has shown me how much I can grow as a person. I know God is with me, walking beside me, and that's not because I'm perfect or because I do things for God, but because that's what He does for His children. That's the truth I hold on to every day. No matter how I feel, no matter where my mind wanders off to, I know Jesus has broken the chains and has set me free to walk in peace, hope, and love. Quick tip: laughing definitely helps bring up your mood. And I care so much about my YouTube family, so if you want to join in, click the subscribe button.